Josh Berry gets his first NASCAR Cup Series win in a major upset at Vegas, while the rest of the field has pit road issues and penalties. Plus, Ty Gibbs is just having a rough go of it right now. Welcome back to the Breaking Bob channel. Hope y'all are doing well. It is the post-Vegas edition, the spring race for 2025. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Always talking NASCAR and motorsports content on a daily basis. Of course, our weekend Xfinity and truck thoughts were posted last night, but today we're talking about the Cup Series. And our first major upset of the season, it's Josh Berry and the Wood Brothers, the 21 car, winning our first intermediate 1.5 oval track of the season. Everyone predicted that, right? No, this was a major upset. 40-1 on the Vegas desert odds here. A major upset in Vegas, it's only fitting here. But Josh Berry gets the Wood Brothers their second win in 2 seasons. Of course, Harrison Burton winning the Daytona summer race last year. Now Josh Berry getting that 21 back into the playoffs for the second year in a row. He led the last 19 laps after the field got re-racked, restacked after a late caution, 25-ish to go. Looked like it was going to be a gas fuel-saving strategy race, but no. Instead, this race ended on pit road fairly fittingly. We'll get to that later, but Josh Berry passing Daniel Suarez late, 2 guys that were hungry for a win, guys that really, this could have been their only chance at making the playoffs. Josh Berry was the one that was able to pull away at the end. I say it's an upset, but this isn't a fluke win for the Hendersonville, Tennessee native. No, the Wood Brothers pegged him to be in the 21 car this year after a lone season at the Cup Series level for SHR after taking over for Kevin Harvick in that 4 car paired with Rodney Childers. Decent results last year, but you know the support wasn't there from SHR. So getting into this Penske affiliate 21 car for the Wood Brothers that hasn't really performed up to the level we expect the last few years with Matt DiBenedetto and then, of course, Harrison Burton the last few years. We wondered what Josh Berry would do. In the last few weeks, although the finishing results hadn't been there, the results on track, the average running order for Josh Berry, he was running at a higher level than we had seen the last few years from this 21 car, competing alongside the Penske cars like it should be. It's basically a 4th Penske car. It's prepped in shop. This is what we should be seeing. And I said in the offseason, I could expect to see Josh Berry win at a short track, a Martinsville or a Dover, but I didn't expect Vegas. This is not a track you would expect a smaller team. But again, this isn't a small team. This is prepped by Penske. It's a team that has had success with Joe Logano and Ryan Blaney the last few years at Vegas, so the writing was on the wall. But to have a 40-1 upset winner in the 5th race of the season, again, major props for Josh Berry. Again, not a fluke when you really are paying attention to it. And how about it for the Wood Brothers? Again, I said how this is the 2nd year in a row they've gotten a win. You got to give credit to Harrison Burton for getting them back into victory lane last year at the Daytona summer race. You went, I think it was 7 years between Ryan Blaney's Pocono 2017, when I believe it was, to Burton getting that 100th win for the Wood Brothers last year at Daytona. And then they go 15 races before Josh Berry gets them back into victory lane at Texas for win 101 for the iconic Wood Brothers team that's been in NASCAR since the beginning of the sport. So a great story, great for the sport for having someone like Josh Berry who has come up the right way. Short track routes, not through funding, not through who you know. I guess, yes, he was iRacing with Dale Jr., but it wasn't a nepotism way. Good story for Josh Berry and a good guy to root for in the Cup Series garage, doing it the right way. And it's seeing it pay off as he's making these steps towards being a Cup Series regular now, though, in the 2nd year and winning in race number 5 in year 2. It's great story all around. The real caution that really messed everything up was with about 80 laps to go. You had Kyle Busch hit the wall, and then Noah Gragson blew a tire, and he was the one that ultimately brought out the caution. It really ruined the day for Joe Logano, and it messed with the race strategy for a lot of the leaders, including some of the fastest cars. Like I said, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson especially. It just completely re-racked the field there, and for a race that was somewhat straightforward throughout the day, even though it was a lot of mistakes throughout the field, there wasn't a lot of on-track incidents that brought out outside of the Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell incident that we'll get to here in a few. This was a fairly straightforward race, and so for that caution to really throw the field into a wrench after you had a caution about 35 laps into the first stage that really also threw a wrench into the green flag pit cycle, this was just a race that really kept teams on their toes all day strategy-wise. And with that caution with 80 to go, it really flipped the race on its head. Like I said, before that, it looked like it was going to be Penske versus Hendrick Motorsports. Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric all had fast cars. And for the most part, Hendrick Motorsports had their 4 cars in the top 10, except for Chase Elliott, who had a speeding penalty, who took himself out of a potential lead on a restart earlier in the race, just never seemed to be able to struggle. He just struggled to get back up into the field, ultimately got himself back into the top 10 late in the race, but just never had the speed that his teammates did once he was back in the field. And then, of course, Logano's strategy was kaput. Then you had Ryan Blaney get caught up in a restart incident where his car was totaled after he got spun backwards into Eric Jones after just a whole mess where Daniel Suarez and Austin Cindric went a little too aggressive into turn one together. Suarez probably sent it where he shouldn't have, and Ryan Blaney was ultimately the victim. It seems like if it can go wrong for Ryan Blaney, it will, and you could tell he was visibly frustrated. This is after, of course, him spinning out in practice yesterday, wasn't even able to qualify. His team had to fix that car. Penske, once again, a week where they have so much speed, but leaving NASCAR's tracks with no wins through 5 weeks throughout the season. Just there's only a certain amount of weeks in a 36 weekend Cup season that you're going to be one of the fastest cars. So Penske, they have to take advantage of it. I know as long as you win and you're in, you're going to be able to make it throughout the playoffs. But again, you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. If you have to have another winner like Josh Berry, it starts to add up these upset winners. I'm not saying that any of the Penske drivers aren't going to make it, but they want to put themselves in the best possible position, and right now they're not. But the major story today was the issues on pit road, whether it was loose tires, pit road penalties. I believe by my count, almost a dozen drivers in the 36, 37 car field had some sort of incident on pit road today. And in a race where you have to nail your strategy because you never know when an ill-timed caution could put you behind the 8 ball, having a speeding penalty like Denny Hamlin early in stage one, you're already behind a lap fighting back, really just sets you back throughout the day. I mentioned Chase Elliott's pit road speeding penalty, how he was a position to be in the lead and then was ultimately able to never really fight his way back to the front. These are the penalties that really add up. Chase Briscoe, of course, losing a tire. You even saw Christopher Bell have to go into Chase Briscoe's pit to have his tire re-straightened and set. That's just, it seems like everyone was having issues today for whatever reason on pit road. I know the margin for error is very slim, but especially at a track like this where you have to show raw speed at an intermediate track, you can't have mistakes like that. You saw Connor Zilic yesterday in the Xfinity race. He had a fast car. Pit road speeding penalty in stage 3. The margin for error is so slim for a Cup Series event. You have to nail everything. And so when you have something go wrong like that, that just it almost completely wrecks your day before you can even control it yourself. And then you have someone like Ty Gibbs who just seems like he can't get out of his own way, from flipping last night at the high limit racing event in his first sprint car feature main where he actually qualified. He flipped lap 1 into that event, comes in today completely off the pace, running in the 30s in stage 1 and 2, then ultimately has an incident where he gets spun out on pit road. His mother, who is an executive at Joe Gibbs Racing, said they're concerned, yes, but that's only because they need to perform for sponsorship. I'm not piling on to Ty Gibbs here. I'm sure it'll turn around, but it just seems like everything that can go wrong for him will. He was able to bring it home to a 22nd place finish today, but it just seems like Joe Gibbs Racing, outside of Christopher Bell, is struggling as a whole to put it together. Whether it's Chase Briscoe and his new team, Ty Gibbs and Denny Hamlin with crew chief changes, Christopher Bell is the only consistent thing you can find really at Joe Gibbs right now. But let's focus on some of the other finishing results here. Of course, we mentioned Berry and Suarez, 1 and 2 guys that needed these wins, these really good results. They've had good runs, but haven't been able to finish these races. Ryan Preece finished on all 4 tires today and finished 3rd today. He held off William Byron and Chastain both. It was a really good battle for that 3rd place finish in those last 20 laps. Austin Cindric 6th, Alex Bowman 7th. 2 guys who were kind of the dark sheep of their mega teams. Really good results for them today. Alex Bowman quietly good at Vegas. People don't really realize it, but sneaky good track for him. He has knocked down Kyle Larson's dominance a few times at this track, but Austin Cindric, the fastest Penske car, at least finishing results-wise today. Good for Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, 9th and 10th. So all of the Hendrick cars do finish in the top 10 at a track that they are historically very good at. And look at AJ Allmendinger bringing home the Kaulig 16 to a top 10 finish. And he was consistently in the top 15, top 10 all day. A very good run for the Dinger. Props to him. And his Kaulig teammate Ty Dillon, although he finished 21st, he was on the lead lap at a decent pace inside the top 20 all day as well, it seems. So Kaulig Racing, for all the the slander they've got in the last few years, they had a good pace at a 1.5-mile oval today, and that's something that they can build on. A team that had a lot of hope coming into this weekend was Spire Motorsports. Michael McDowell on the pole, his first career 1.5-mile oval track pole, but a 16th place finish for him. Justin Haley 14th, and Carson Hosfar didn't even finish on the lead lap today. He was, I believe, where did he finish? 30th place. Carson Osfar has shown great speed the first 5 weeks of the season, but it seems like every weekend something goes wrong. There's an incident. There's something that happens to him. And for Spire Motorsports, it seems like all of this, for all three cars, it just seems like they're having decent speed, qualifying speed, but for whatever reason, everything that can go wrong will for them. And I'm sure that luck will turn around, but you don't want to dig yourself into too deep of a hole when you're already a, back to mid charter team. You need these results to start turning around, because otherwise you're going to be in already must win territory. Maybe they already are coming into the season with the level of team they are, but you can't find yourself in a mid 20th, late 20th in the point standing for all your drivers here if you keep these results up. It's just something that's not acceptable for a team that has preached that they're changing their culture with the financial infrastructure that they have from Gainbridge and Andretti coming in with Group 1001. So for Spire Motorsports, it's something that's got to turn around here. And I know this is only the first real intermediate track. Last week was Phoenix, and then this week Vegas. It's the first real oval tracks of the season, but again, these results are starting to add up here for Spire Motorsports. And Shane Van Gisbergen, 34th place. It just seemed like he struggled today. Whatever was going on with a tire rub, it seemed like they couldn't get that figured out. That just kept coming back up and biting the 88 team in the rear end. The Red Bull livery looked great, but it was not fast today. And Shane Van Gisbergen, I think the expectation for him on these oval tracks, especially when his trackhouse teammates like Suarez and Chastain are finishing in the top 5, is for him to finish on the lead lap. And for whatever reason, that was just not the case today for the Kiwi. But again, he's going to be a contender on these road courses. It's just getting him the seat time at the Cup Series level as far as these ovals are for SVG, but not the day they wanted as far as him for that third trackhouse car today. Overall, though, thought that racing was decent at Las Vegas, a fairly straightforward race. You had a few interesting timed cautions that kind of messed with the strategy, but overall, I think my biggest thing was just it's hard to follow along on the broadcast only. If you're not paying attention to journalists on social media reporting the actual comings and goings from the race, Fox is not really leaving you much of a choice. You're having to pick and choose what's going on. I mean, there's a moment there where Kyle Busch got a speeding penalty where he was in the top 5, and they had the Chiefs and the Eagles logos on the screen, and Clint Boyer is just kind of hee-hawing about it, and Kevin Harvick's going, "Hey, Clint, I know you're paying attention to that. Did you just hear what Mike Joy said? There was a speeding penalty for Kyle Busch." Clint's, "Oh, no way, man." It's like you're watching with your buddy who's paying attention halfway. It's frustrating, especially when you look at the IndyCar broadcast and the F1 broadcast last night from Australia. It's very professionally done. I don't know. I know it's just a weekly, just broken record here where you just kind of pile on Fox, but it just seems like as a race fan, I shouldn't have to seek out the information in other avenues other than the broadcast. I should be able to follow on the broadcast and know what's going on. Listen, I'm not asking Fox to reinvent the wheel here, just asking them to keep race fans informed about what they're watching. But I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much here. Wouldn't be the first time, I'm sure. But anyway, post-Vegas thoughts here. If you like what you saw, make sure you like this video. Subscribe to Breaking Bob for more motorsports and NASCAR content on the daily basis here. And we'll be back next weekend for more NASCAR content, of course. Homestead next weekend. That should be pretty good if it's anything like the fall race. Oh, my goodness. And hopefully the next time we're at Homestead, it'll be a championship race in 2026. Oh, we'll see. But anyway, thank you for watching. I do appreciate you, as always, for checking out Breaking Bob. We'll see you next time.